This document notes the previous 25 intro calls that I have with men who join my marriage mastery program. Look how many of the 25 calls mention trust as one of the core issues that led to separation and divorce. Over 84%. So if trust is so vital in restoring a relationship, then why do so many experts out there online give bad advice? Because most people offering that advice simply read an article who's written by someone, who read an article who's written by someone else, and it's the same recycled advice that all stems from incorrect information. So what happens is that you're essentially adding nails to a dying plant. What do I mean by this? Look, as a man, you're very logical. If something isn't working, you just try to fix it. It makes sense in your mind, and I get that. But when it comes to your relationship problems, you treat it like it's a broken house, that you can just simply say or do one or two things and trust will be restored. I myself have fallen victim to this and even wrote a book with that mindset, but I was completely wrong. Your relationship is not broken, it's dying. There's a vital difference. It's much like a plant. Hear me out. How is it important to see your relationship as a house or a plant different in restoring trust? See, with the house metaphor, you go to fixing things, talking about the problem, seeing a therapist, reading books, begging, pleading, using logic. That only makes things worse. In actuality, it's taking all this water and all this dirt and just pouring it on the plant. What's gonna happen? You're gonna suffocate it and it's gonna die. You're only making things worse over time. If instead you view the relationship like a plant, then instead of trying to fix a thing, you stop, give it space, smart space, and you let it heal over time. Now, in this video, what I'm gonna do with you is I'm gonna show you the 3 steps of smart space theory and teach you how that's gonna restore trust with you and your partner really fast. Now, the first step in the smart space theory in restoring trust is that Einstein was in fact right. Right about what? Well, his definition of insanity, which is to do the same thing over and over, but you're expecting a different result. Now, if I ask men about what that definition of insanity is, most men actually know this, but then I point out to them, they're in fact doing the same thing over and over by using logical solutions, trying to nail that plan, and it's just creating a negative result. What this results in is the constant contact, pouring that water. It's only smothering her, and they need to give her space. Now, when I pointed this out to my client, Jason, it was a huge epiphany and he was almost hitting himself on the head because he realized even though it was the hardest thing to do to give her that space, he recognized through this whole entire definition of insanity that it was the only option because in order for his wife to see that changes were being made, he had to stop being needy and insecure by giving her that space. The second step in the smart space theory is what I call using the closed loop change reports. After giving the plant, aka the relationship and her, some time to heal and letting the natural sunlight just do its thing, now you're gonna look at the situation, we're gonna assess it with you, and we're gonna say, okay, what specifically can you say or do with her to add just the right amount of water to make it start to flourish again? And because every person's situation is unique, sometimes it's giving more space or less water or more actions depending on the situation. This is why I can set up a personalized call with you down below with me and my team to look at your situation with your wife or girlfriend and say, okay, what step in the CLC reports are we gonna do with you to make sure she comes back and the relationship starts to flourish again? Now, on the practical level, this is what it looks like. The first step of the CLC is to identify the core reason why the trust was betrayed. Oftentimes, guys think it's something different than it actually was. For example, I know some women not giving a card on Valentine's Day or their birthday. To a guy, it's like not that big of a deal, right? It's like, it's just a card. But for a woman, those little things mean everything to her. And when you can convey why it felt the way she did with that small little thing in your mind, it shows a vast different perspective on how you changed with increased empathy, and she feels like you get her again. In the CLCs, not only do you identify the core level wound, but you say how your behavior affected her, and then you take prompted, committed action, how you're gonna change with a closed loop at the very end. This change in perspective, more than anything, shows her that you are changing with who you are. You're increasing your empathy and you're showing additional insight, and it makes her just feel like the process of healing is being expedited. After you correctly start to implement the CLC reports, you're gonna start to see these positive milestones. She'll become more intimate with you. She'll start making excuses to see you, aka dates in her mind, but she won't call them that. She'll delay the divorce. She'll start to say things and plan trips with you again, and it's really clear that this plan is almost flourishing back to the way it was. So the third step in the smart space theory to restore trust is what I call potency actions. You see, to a woman, actions always speak way louder than words. Now, the reason you don't use these potency actions in the beginning is because if the plant is damaged, it's like trying to uproot it, move it to a better environment, and it's just gonna die because it's already dying. So you need to keep it there for a while. But after you've given her the space, you've done the CLC reports, given it the correct water, it is healed enough to now uproot the plant and move it to a different location. But what does this look like? Potency actions are these guided, intentional actions you do to elicit powerful emotional responses in your wife to get her to see you through the lens that she used to see you through. Now, you can only do these potency actions when you are in stage 3 of the 5 stages of relationships that I talk about here. Some examples of potency actions is that I had a guy plan a trip with his wife to Cabo. I've had a guy even, I swear I can't make this up, he showed up to his wife's work, he played their favorite song on the truck, opened his car doors, blared it as loud as he could, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs for his wife to listen to the song. He said he was beat red about the whole thing, but it actually worked. It's crazy. The point is that if you've given her the correct space, you've done the CLC reports to show the change, and then you put a stamp of trust on the relationship with the correct potency actions, you've done the smart space theory correctly, and it is the best chance to restore trust in the relationship, to make that plant flourish again. When you use these 3 steps of the smart space theory, she will start to come back into your life again. But she's going to test you because she wants to make sure, okay, if you're becoming this guy, I'm gonna try to put a chink in that armor to make sure it doesn't fall apart, okay? So what she does is that she will subconsciously test you by doing certain things to make it hard for you. Now you must identify how to pass these tests that over 96% of men fail. If you want to learn how to pass that test when it inevitably comes, check out the video right here on how to do that. Set up a free call with me or my team down below to work with me personally. Smash like if you enjoy videos like this, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.